Okay, so my name's Ned Gamble, and I'm going to talk about the OpenPower Ready work group, what we do. I'm going to go through the process for certifying a product as being OpenPower Ready, why we want to do it. There's an OpenPower Ready logo that we'll talk about. I'll go through all the different system components and what it takes to get them certified. And yeah, I don't think this is going to last anywhere near 45 minutes, so the good news is we'll all be first in line for the free drinks. So again, my name is Ned, or I don't know if I've even said this. My name is Ned Gamble. I work on the OpenPower enablement team, and I'm also the chairman of the OpenPower Ready work group. So what is OpenPower Ready? OpenPower Ready is a trademark that we want people to display on their systems, on their components that plug into systems, on their software, applications, operating systems. And basically, the work group will certify that those components meet the criteria that's defined in the OpenPower Ready criteria document. And that document is produced by us in the work group. I think we're on, what, Rev 2 now, Jeff? And we're due for a Rev 3 of the OpenPower Ready criteria document. We're on 2. And I think we're in need of a 3. And that's my job as the chairman, is to make that happen. And the other thing that the work group does is review candidate products. So if you have a system, an OpenPower Ready, a system that you designed with an OpenPower processor and you want it to be certified as OpenPower Ready, there's a website where you can go and fill out some basic information, submit it. Hopefully it'll meet all the criteria, and it'll be either, it'll almost certainly be approved if it meets the criteria. And if not, we'll work with you to figure out what was wrong with the application and try and get it certified. So we're going to talk about the OpenPower Ready logo, why people want to certify their products as OpenPower Ready. There's different OpenPower Ready categories. Like I mentioned, there's systems, I/O adapters, software operating systems, tool chain things, applications. So I'll touch on a high-level version of a high-level discussion of the criteria for what it takes to get certified. But really, you need all the details are in the document. There's a web link there for the document. We'll talk about how to join the work group. We're definitely looking for new members because almost everyone on the work group works at IBM, and we'd like to have members from the community join. So please join. And there's a web link which I'll show you on how to apply for product certification. And there's a thing on the website called a resource catalog, and that's a list. I think we're up to about 150 components on it right now of things that have already been certified as being OpenPower Ready. Any questions at this point? It's pretty basic stuff. So this is the OpenPower Ready logo. I think we have some t-shirts there. I don't see any double extra large people. Frank, you might be able to wear one. The other 2 are going to me. So where do we want people to display the logo? That would be on their websites, on the products themselves. Jeff, where would people go to get like an actual logo? I mean, people just have to kind of print their own? Or is there an officially blessed source to get?
They will get the source after the product is supported. They get information on how to get the source for the logo.
Okay, so
Post-certification.
So there is a place to get an official version of the logo. I haven't been on board long enough to actually get a new logo source request, but I guess there is one. So websites, products, product packaging, documentation, and advertising is where we want to see this displayed. The idea is to build confidence and coverage and recognition of the logo. That's what we want. So why would people want to seek OpenPower Ready certification? The idea is everybody's product is displaying the logo. It says that it's gone through a review process. It says that systems, if it has an OpenPower Ready logo and an operating system has an OpenPower Ready logo, they both have the certification. They're both going to work together. The I/O adapter, if it has the certification, it'll work with the operating system and the system. So again, the criteria for the certification is covered in the document at that web link. So the different categories are systems, IO adapters, Capi 1.0, which is pretty much, I would say, is end of life, Capi 2.0, which is still around on Power 9, Capi 3.0, software operating systems, toolchain application, and software applications. So this is sort of a high-level view of what the criteria for certification is for systems. So obviously, if it's a system, it needs to have a processor in it that supports the power instruction set architecture, basically a Power 8, a Power 9, Power 9 Prime, Power 10 processor. It should have the system should have a PCI bus on it connected to the processor. The processor has a PCI bus, but the system needs to support a PCI attached adapter. It needs to have a boot management chip that's required for the processor to come out of reset. It has to have either a BMC, or some customers actually use FPGAs. It has to have a system-level XML file. Now, all of these things are not required. It just needs to be a subset of these things. It's not required to have an XML file to build your host boot code, but it's just one thing that says this followed the OpenPower ecosystem methodology. But if you decided not to have an XML file, that doesn't preclude you from getting the OpenPower Ready certification. The system should support OPAL, the OpenPower abstraction layer. Should have at least one boot device, either local or SAN attached storage, or should support a Pixie boot. It should support an operating system. I know that might preclude some people, but again, not everything is required. I do think your system could be OpenPower certified if you'd like. And should run some sort of exerciser, either HTX, Sysbench, some sort of exerciser to say that the system is functional. So the criteria for OpenPower Ready IO adapters, it's pretty basic. Just needs to be a PCI supported PCI Gen 3 for Power 8, Gen 4 for Power 9. This also implies PCI Gen 1, 2 support is also supported. And the device needs to plug in to an OpenPower Ready system. So if you have an OpenPower Ready system, you want to have an OpenPower Ready adapter, you need to demonstrate that that adapter works in at least one OpenPower Ready certified system. So I don't think there's really any point in going into Capi 1.0. That's pretty much old news. Capi 2.0, which is supported on Power 9, it needs to plug into a PCI Gen 4 physical layer. There needs to be host boot code to configure the adapter. There's some other documents that are in the OpenPower Ready certification document that point to what an OpenCapi or a Capi 2.0 device needs to be capable of. And those things there are web links within the OpenPower Ready certification document. So there's lots of, and then of course OpenCapi, basically the same thing. Obviously OpenCapi has its own custom physical layer, but the other requirements are the same. Host boot to configure it. Any questions? Operating systems. So the operating system, this might be an area where we could maybe do a little bit more defining for our third pass of the OpenPower Ready criteria document. This is a pretty basic requirement, just basically says that the operating system needs to boot up and run on an OpenPower Ready system. But has anyone ever had any problems with an with an operating system running on an OpenPower Ready system?
Yes.
I had to seed the audience with at least one question.
Even open the floor for questions. Yeah, so actually, I have a couple questions. One is, what do we do about vendors where, I guess, works is a little too loosely defined, where, especially for I/O adapters, you plug an I/O adapter in and it requires 100 extra manual steps to barely get it working. Does that still qualify as works when you plug the same part in x86 and it just
So you're
functions?
referring to our issue with GPUs?
That's one issue, yeah.
So I think maybe that's something that we could look at exploring, adding that. Jeff, what he's talking about is, so Tim works for is, the chief engineer for Raptor, and he has a big problem with his basically desktop systems. His customers don't want to have to plug in a serial console to manage the system. So he would like there to be some way where the monitor lights up very early in the IPL process and would display sort of a petty boot menu where they could then install the operating system without having to plug in another management console. So would that qualify, is that a bar that we could someday maybe create for GPUs to be OpenPOWER ready?
I would even go a little further, and I wonder really, as the kind of definition works, is this something where, even just beyond GPUs, should there be, kind of look at the OpenPOWER Ready logo that was on the consumer side, and by consumer, I mean, data center workers, whatever, downstream consumers with hardware. That logo, we're basically saying this part is going to work properly with this other part. And when we really say it's working properly, when, I guess it seems like it's not granular enough. If we say it works properly, end user is going to expect that they communicate the same way they would on another machine, same ease of use, plug it in, no problems, no extra configuration steps, so they just work together. So I guess what I'm kind of wondering is, would it make sense to have different levels of this product? Because we have hardware that will work with configuration, we have some hardware that literally, most of it thankfully, you just plug in and it works. And you're trying to build a system, you're trying to put something in scale, it would be far more useful for the consumer to say, hey, if I use OpenPOWER Gold parts, everywhere, whatever you want to call it, that everything's just going to work out of the box. So I guess, is there any slush or any movement that we can do towards something like that?
So we've,
A couple things. One, I think you found your volunteer, somebody willing to join the work group. So we'll look forward to.
there's got to be a motivation. He's motivated.
Yeah, and
He's going to be a voting member too.
yeah. Secondly, we're always looking to increase the definition. The one thing that I think we have to take on carefully that you said that I'm not sure I completely agree with, but we ought to consider, is whether we truly are guaranteeing what you said was interoperability of all the parts, right? I mean, that becomes a rather complex matrix.
Yes, it does.
At any level. So, it's something we should consider and we ought to think about. I just don't know whether the intent of the mark was, all pieces of the system that could be put together in any combination is intended to be supported there. So
And
that's
that's
what?
We could start with some.
Absolutely, yeah. We would need to define what that means and work on that.
Even if it's literally one thought I kind of had is you got a common, like for instance, all systems must adhere exactly to that. These minimum specifications, all adaptive cards must include exactly what's minimum for the higher level. It's not going to guarantee interoperability, but it's going to reduce your interoperability issues to so negligible that aren't actually have value.
Right. Yeah, no, we can always refine this definition, and that's the intent of the work group. And in all sincerity, love every participant, every idea that goes into it, because that's how we all get better. Great.
So I'm very familiar with Tim's pain points, and I know this is one of his most painful pain points, and I think it's probably going to be one of the tougher ones, one of the tougher nuts to crack. One of the maybe easier ones, though, was another one of your pain points. I think you discovered a bug in one of the Linux distros with the AMD GPU. It was a Linux distro that we said was OpenPOWER Ready certified. A very, very limited, simple test would have found this bug in the distro on the Power platform. So I guess sort of a question there, maybe an easier problem to solve. Is there any way we can do a little bit more testing of our distros on Power before we say it's OpenPOWER Ready, not just boots up and we see a login prompt? IBM obviously does a lot more testing on its things before it sells them. IBM will make sure that if it sells it, we tested it on all these I/O adapters. But if we're going to say a distro has an OpenPOWER Ready certification, is there maybe not just testing it on IBM's adapters, but testing it on?
Yeah, but I was wondering here as well. one or two or three more functions, right? So you could be certified for one function, but not the other, right? A graphics adapter, GPU, right? It could be certified for processing data using CUDA, but not for graphical display, for OpenGL display. And vice versa, you could have a GPU that was certified for graphical display, but not for processing for any reason. I know that is incompatible with it, for example, with that particular version. I/O cards, right, that are certified for direct attach, but not for SIOD or for other virtualization function, right? So anyway, like I said, I don't have a solution for that, and if we make it too granular, it may lose its meaning completely. But it's something to consider, right? What it means. If this should be attached to a card with all its functions and different uses, or it should be attached to a particular function of that card if there is anything in between.
Well, please join the work group.
I've done enough already.
You gave it the office.
You know, one thing that I ask is certification, would it be reasonable to ask vendor to continually certify the updates? Because particularly the issue that is found an AP card that would hit, it was actually stable. Let's see, some of the distros, Ubuntu in particular, will issue new kernel versions for my second product, and it's very possible being a stable version, the distros going to pick that up, and something that was compatible becomes uncompatible with the update.
Yeah, so I think the question there would be who certifies an operating system to be OpenPOWER ready? And I obviously should know this, but what is the entity that does it? I think we kind of ride along the operating systems kind of ride IBM's coattails, because if IBM sells it and supports it, IBM did a whole bunch of testing on it. But if a new distro comes out and it's not on IBM's list of distros that it supports, but our Linux guys think it should work, and it kind of does work, I think we go ahead and give it the logo, but
Well,
the real...
asking the opposite question, would you really uncertify a distro with all of its capability? Because
No, I certainly wouldn't uncertify it, but
But you understand my point.
Yeah.
What's going to be the definition of certification? And, the answer to the technical answer to your question is everybody self-certifies per the criteria we have in the document. So if the criteria is loose and we think it's too loose, then we can make it more common. IBM didn't certify whatever distros are listed in the OpenPower Ready catalog. That was done by whichever vendor it was. So,
right, well, IBM didn't do an OpenPOWER Ready certification. IBM did this is ready to be sold to a customer certification.
Well,
I mean, that IBM...
There's arguments to be made that, a bug, the IBM certification or the OpenPower Ready certification shouldn't be an all-defining, it works in all situations. I mean, a bug that is on a distro or even in a hardware shouldn't prevent anyone from being taken out of the seal, certified seal, right? Because there's a bug. It's more like a commitment, right, I believe. That, okay, we consider this to be supported, we want to support it, right? So if you find an issue, it's a bug. I mean,
we'll look at it.
we'll look at it, right?
Maybe that's something that we could add to the criteria, a willingness to look at issues as they arrive. I don't know. I don't think that's in there.
That's a good point. So you say not so much the threat of replication, but this is that the retreating, the distro, for instance, of retreating is first class SIP platform. The same way we found a bug on an Intel or whatever, if we find a bug here, or actually we actually test it to try to find bugs the same way we do everything else. And B, if we do, it's not just left in the corner, die, or next version. I mean, that to me was something they have.
Okay, well, good discussion. So software tool chains, there's a document that specifies that. It's referenced in the OpenPOWER Ready certification document, there's a link for that in here. Applications, again, pointing to a couple more documents, which are in the certification document. And then once someone has a product, an operating system, adapter system that they want to certify, there's a link in the OpenPOWER Foundation to submit, to fill out and submit it, and then that comes to me, and we review it. And actually, we reviewed one today and approved it for INSPIR. And the OpenPower Ready work group, Tim recently joined. We're glad to have you on board. Anyone else that's interested in joining? Again, we're looking to encourage membership from non-IBM people. So that's an easy way to join there. And the work group activities, again, that's what we talked about in this pitch. Promote product certification, define requirements, maintain the resource catalog, certify new products, and hold monthly meetings, which I've been negligent on, but hope to fix that very soon. And that's it. Any more questions?
Can you expand a little more on what means or what is the objective of having an OpenPower Ready toolchain theory? What is approved or an OpenPower Ready toolchain?
I think it's Klaus, the intent is to have an intermediate place between operating system and application, right? I mean, you have to contemplate that an application is built with a tool chain, compiler in particular, that has been enabled for an environment and that has been certified. And a tool chain then is a subset piece of the operating system. If you went straight from application to OS, you would lose sort of that ability to perhaps either move those around, or you would appear to tie the application directly to the operating system. And I wasn't completely involved in that decision, but that's my recollection of why we ended up with tool chain. It's also a way of sort of identifying and supporting the instruction set architecture as well. And instead of pushing that down to the operating system, saying, hey, we support the ISA at this level, that's supported by a tool chain, and from there, then you can build applications off of it.
So perhaps by expanding the definition, you could theoretically have an operating system that is OpenPower Ready, but that doesn't include a tool chain that is OpenPower Ready. I mean, you could build an operating system without it being able to build itself.
You could, I wouldn't want to envision it.
Well, in the embedded world, it's kind of a practice,
Yeah.
to be honest. Thank you.
The operating system be running on the bare metal, or should it be also be running as a virtual?
If it were run on a virtualized, it would still be, it could still be certified. Bare metal's not a requirement. Virtualized operating system is not a requirement. They're both possibilities.
Well, for OpenPower Ready, the definition has been completely bare metal today. With no attempt to take on virtualization as a part of this now.
But if we had a hypervisor and we had an operating system running on it, would we not certify it?
I'm sorry, what?
If we had a hypervisor and an operating system running on it, would that not be?
Sure.
I think the problem is we don't have a hypervisor.
I think by definition, they are interchangeable.
No, if the OS runs in a virtualized setup, but not on the bare metal, does it get certified?
But is it,
We haven't had that.
is it possible for us to have an operating system that only runs on VMs and not on?
Yeah, actually, that's possible.
We actually ran into that, I think, at one point. I think during the breakup, one of the BSDs ended up that way for a short time.
Sure, but what we're talking about here is OpenPower certification. So
This is actually possible, so it's
Oh.
technically possible, so it's possible to submit it.
sure, you could have the host image, if you want to call it that, right? The bare metal operating system providing services to the OS that aren't necessarily indicative of the bare metal image, and I/O is a great place, right? I could write an OS that only has drivers for virtualized sorts of I/O, and the bare metal system owns that. So back to the question, we've only done certification of bare metal environments. KVM, you could argue, is just an application by itself, but we've not put in, the idea of a hosted or a virtualized OS certification. could in theory do that. I don't know off the top of my head what it would buy you in this necessarily, other than more information and details than you may want. But Ned's willing to take any members in his group to help address this and contemplate it, so.
Is KVM OpenPower Ready? Do we have, is that certified? Is that in the resource count? I should know this,
It's
but.
certified as part of the base operating system, but we're clearly not calling it out as a set of configs or anything. We're explicitly testing, we're just saying we know what's next to us. So.
You know, I'd be sort of against saying that certifying something we're not looking at, because I personally would say that gets shut down as a hypervisor book. It's unable to sufficiently emulate hardware to run a certified bare metal OS that have a proper by definition in hypervisor.
Well, yeah, I tell this to Jeff all the time, and I'm sure he's sick of hearing it, but I'm a hardware guy. That's not my area of expertise. And that's why I rely heavily on Jeff's help, and it's very much appreciated.
Yeah, but by doing that, we could be shut off from highly specialized, highly purpose and purpose-specific customized kernels that could be, I guess, important for cloud computing workloads out there, right? I mean, if we had one of those OSs that only run on a virtualized environment, and in the x86 where we do have a number of them already going around, right? They don't run on bare metal, they don't include any drivers. But if we don't allow those to be eventually taking an OpenPower Ready certification, perhaps we will be shutting them off.
Perhaps we need a separate logo, clearly open or power virtual ready.
Yeah. Well,
All interesting topics for work group meetings. Any more questions?
join my work group and I join yours.
What's your work group?
System software.
Ooh. Maybe I'll learn some. Definitely I would learn a lot. So, okay, any more? All right, thanks.
Thanks, Ned.